our webinar. So with this webinar, we will be talking about how Law Access is a single point entry for free legal help in New South Wales. And our presenters, Amanda Daha and Liz Wire, who both work at Law Access, will talk a bit more about their comprehensive triage system that enables the best outcomes for their clients seeking free legal help, and how free legal help and referrals to meet their needs. Law Access now not only offers help through the telephone, but also through web chat, which is really innovative. They also have an online step-by-step guide for those people who have the ability to work through their own legal problem, or for them to work through their legal problem with a support worker. So I would like to introduce our colleagues from Law Access, Amanda Daha and Liz Why. And just to begin off, we would also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, and we would like to pay respect to elders of this land, both past, present and emerging. We would also like to extend that respect to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people attending today or watching the recording. So Amanda and Liz, can you tell our audience a bit more about your role at Law Access?
Yes, sure. Hi, my name is Liz. I'm one of the lawyers here at Law Access, and I provide legal advice to customers on civil and criminal legal issues. I'm also part of the legal resource team, so we are responsible for developing and updating the content on our website, and we'll talk a bit more about that later in the presentation, but I'll hand over to Amanda for now.
Thanks, Liz. Hey, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be speaking to you all today. I'm actually one of the team leaders of the Legal Information Group here at Law Access. I started my journey here in about 2018, and I really loved this job. So I'm really glad I get the opportunity to speak to you all. I started off as an information officer myself, so it's really a great opportunity, and I hope you find this very useful.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys. So we might just get straight into the webinar. So Amanda, can you tell us a bit more about who Law Access is?
Yes, of course, sure. So Law Access is actually a gateway for legal assistance for the public. We are actually a government service and we're free to contact. So we provide free legal information, referrals, and in some cases we can actually organize advice for people who have a problem in New South Wales. That means, so if you live in another state, territory, or even country, but you have a New South Wales legal issue, you're actually more than welcome to contact us here at Law Access for assistance. And if you're unsure that's okay, you are more than welcome to give us a call anyway, and we will point you in the right direction. All right.
Fantastic. And can you tell us a bit more about the background of Law Access?
Yeah. Of course. So we were actually established and commenced operations in 2001, September. We've been running strong ever since. And our organisation was actually established as a joint initiative of the New South Wales Department of Communities and Justice, Legal Aid New South Wales and the Law Society, as well as the New South Wales Bar Association. So we'll move on to where we are now, if that's okay. Great. So following the New South Wales machinery of government changes, and these were announced in April 2019, a decision was actually made to transfer operations from Law Access New South Wales from Department of Justice to Legal Aid New South Wales. So following the transfer to Legal Aid, Law Access still continues to provide the exact same services, and we still operate from our location in Parramatta. We even now have our own logo, which you can see up on the slides. So whenever the question arises as to, are we Legal Aid New South Wales? We actually let all people know that here at Law Access, we are a part of Legal Aid New South Wales, and we work closely together to streamline the legal assistance and help that you need.
Fantastic. And how do we contact Law Access?
Sure. So we are open 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, except for public holidays, and you can contact us by calling 1300 888 529. For callers who speak a language other than English, the translating and interpreting service can help. They will provide an interpreter to the call for Law Access, and for hearing impaired callers, the National Relay Service can assist customers to communicate with our staff on the phone. You can call us from outside Australia too. The number is the same, just add a 61 at the front. You can also visit our website. We've got lots of resources on there, and we also have a web chat, which we'll hear a little bit more about later on in this presentation. So we'll look now at what kind of legal problems Law Access can help with. So we can provide legal help on a wide range of legal problems. This includes family law, so things like getting a divorce, parenting or property disputes, as well as care and protection matters. Crime, this could be going to court for a criminal or traffic matter, an AVO, dealing with a fine, including fines for breaching a public health order, which we're seeing a lot of at the moment, and civil law. So that includes things like tenancy, employment law, consumer law, having a debt, going to court, a car accident, mental health, guardianship, and neighbour disputes.
Great. I think we might want to launch into our first poll. So I'll just bring this up. So right now you should see on your screen what kind of legal problems have you encountered with your clients or customers? So we have family, crime, and civil. So feel free to click. And this is interactive, so we should be able to get your results straight away. Oh, we got a 50-50 with civil. Oh, it's an even split so far. Getting some family, a bit more family. Just give it a few more moments. Okay, just a few more seconds. So 62% of the audience have had clients or customers with family law issues, 23% with crime, 15% civil. Great. So what can't Law Access do?
Sure. So we don't provide any face-to-face services. We provide legal help by telephone and through our website. Our lawyers don't represent customers, do casework or advocacy services. We also don't provide a second opinion if a customer's already received legal advice, and we don't provide advice about appeal matters except for license appeals. Law Access New South Wales doesn't provide legal advice in some specialist areas, including conveyancing, business or taxation matters, land rights claims, immigration, workers' compensation, or personal injury law. But even though we don't provide legal services on all these areas of law, Law Access is still a good place to start because we can refer you on to services that can assist, even if we can't give the legal advice on that particular legal problem.
Great. And what does an information officer do at Law Access?
Yeah, so just to give you a little bit of an idea of what an information officer does and who we are, and if I refer to them as an IOL, it's just abbreviated. An information officer actually gives plain language legal information, and this information is sourced from useful websites, books, internal tools, and other approved resources. They can also help customers with legal aid inquiries, and that will include inquiries related to legal aid applications. We can also provide guidance regarding eligibility for further assistance from Legal Aid New South Wales or a pro bono scheme. In some cases, as we were mentioning, we can arrange for a Law Access New South Wales lawyer to actually call customers back and provide advice over the phone. And we can also refer customers to non-legal services, should they need that support. And that could be like Lifeline, Men's Line, financial counsellors, and many more. So just across the board, information officers have been trained in delivering flexible service, and we use a range of measures to accommodate individual needs of customers. So we'll move on to the next slide. just about how an information officer can help you and your client. So one thing that is really important to remember is that it's really never a good idea to ignore a legal problem. So if you ever are unsure of something or how to address a legal problem, and that goes for customers, community workers, carers, and more, it could be family member, friend, you can just give us a call at Law Access and an information officer will provide assistance to get you and your client where you really need to be. And that could be by either providing information, referrals, or as we were saying, on some occasions, logging customers for advice to our legal advice group. Just another really important thing to note is that a legal information officer does not provide legal advice. So if legal advice is actually required, they will look into suitable options to assist.
Great. Amanda, can you give us an example?
Yes. So if, for example, a customer is calling through and they're with their mother, mother needs help with, oh, sorry, we'll talk about Bill first and then we'll talk about another scenario. So let's talk about Bill. He's actually received a fine for speeding. He calls through. Information officer actually will start by explaining that they are not a lawyer. They'll collect the general data from customers and proceed to ask them questions. So just in terms of the general data that is collected and entered into our customer relationship management database, sorry, that's called CRM. IOLs will actually be able to better assist customers by asking these questions. So they would normally ask, Bill, what is your suburb and postcode where you live? Now, this will actually help us in finding a service that is close by, should Bill need some additional help. So they will also be able to tell whether or not Bill lives in a rural or remote location. So we're trying to assess vulnerability as well. The next thing that they would ask Bill is whether or not he's Aboriginal. Now, if he does identify as Aboriginal, this is just to provide a culturally respectful service. If he does identify, then information officers would ask Bill whether or not he would like to actually speak to an Aboriginal information officer. The information officer on the call, if they say yes, would then reach out to the legal information management team, so such as myself, will see if an Aboriginal information officer is actually available to take the call then and there. If not, then we can arrange for a call back to be made. The next thing that is asked is, what is your year of birth? Now, we don't ask for full date of birth, just the year. Now, the reason for that is because some services that we refer to actually assist particular age groups. So again, we're trying to find the correct service for the person. Then we would ask, how did you come across our number today? How did you find us? Now, the reason why we do that is just so that we can try and determine which services Bill has already spoken to, and we try and figure out how to get him off a referral roundabout. So he's gone to Service New South Wales, he's gone to this place, that place, and no one's able to answer the question. And we just want to make sure we're not sending him back to a service he's already been unnecessarily. So that's really important as well, because again, we want to ensure that we are getting that person where they need to be. One of the main questions that we do ask, and something that Liz touched on previously, is that we say, have you actually had any legal advice about this issue? Now, the reason for that is because here at Law Access, if they are technically, they tick all the boxes for the legal advice group. If they have actually already received advice and are seeking a second opinion, it's not something that we could log to the legal advice group here, but we'd look at other appropriate places where this customer can go if they need that help. Now, with Bill, he explains that he wants to know how to fight the fine. Now, what an information officer will do is go through a couple of our resources, and they'll correctly source information about the different options that a person has if they've received a fine. But then Bill says, I want to know whether I should take the fine straight to court. Now, because that's opinion-based, it's more appropriate for legal advice. So in that scenario, an information officer will then triage the customer and refer them appropriately to get the advice.
That's great. And what kind of resources do the information officers use?
So we've developed a number of resources to assist our information officers when they're providing that legal information. So the first one is our website. The Law Access website has publicly available legal information on a variety of topics, and Law Prompt is an internal resource on our website that information officers can use to source information to assist customers. Our information officers cannot use other authorised websites such as the Legal Aid website, authorised books and brochures, which includes legal aid publications, and the Law Handbook.
And I guess that this is going to be a major issue for a lot of our audience members, but can I contact Law Access on behalf of my clients?
Yeah, so we frequently get asked whether support workers, community workers, and the like can contact Law Access New South Wales on behalf of their clients. The short answer is yes, you can. And look, Law Access New South Wales has actually developed a number of policies and procedures on how information officers can assist people who have a support worker. So we have strategized how IOLs or information officers can best assist should a support worker actually call with or without their client. And either way, they aim to provide high quality customer service regardless. We've even implemented processes to assist with these inquiries that are coming through via our web chat portal. And we'll talk about the web chat portal in just a moment, but I'll give you just a brief idea of what happens if a support worker is calling with their client. So if a support worker calls with their client and an information officer answers, they will triage the customer. They will provide them with the relevant information or referral to a specialised service where appropriate. If they require legal advice and they satisfy the legal advice group requirements, then an information officer will actually organise for either a warm transfer straight to a legal officer or a lawyer to be facilitated, or they will arrange a specific callback time after they consult with the legal advice group management team. One thing that is highlighted with these calls, though, is that customers will actually be asked whether they will need their support worker on the call with them. And if they do, the information officer will tell support workers that the lawyer who takes the call will determine whether or not it's appropriate to actually call with the support worker present or whether they think it would be a conflict of interest. So that's something just to bear in mind. Should a support worker call us without their client on the line, an information officer will do the same thing. So they'll triage them, they'll provide information and or a referral to a specialist service or appropriate service that the support worker can provide to their client. Information officers will actually ask whether or not the client would be able to call Law Access on their own for assistance. And if that's the case, we would just encourage the support worker to pass on our contact details to their client. If not, then the client and they require advice, and they meet the logging requirements for the Law Access Legal Advice Group, the support worker will actually be provided with an email address. We would ask them to provide just a couple of details about who they are, what service they work for, when their client will be with them and whatnot. And we'll also ask for a very brief description of the legal matter that their client needs support with. So with those emails that come through, they'll be addressed by our dedicated service development group, the legal advice group, and once all is confirmed, a legal information group team leader, such as myself, will actually organise the call at the agreed time and have that call transferred over to a lawyer. And again, very similar approach with our web chat portal. And as I said, we'll talk about web chat shortly.
Thank you so much. That's
now we've just
really
got
useful information. Sorry, please
I'm going to talk
a bit more about Adam.
Sure. So this is Adam and his support worker. This is an example of a call that we would often get. So Adam has been charged with an offence and police have applied for an AVO against him. Adam tells his support worker and his support worker has contacted us at Law Access. This call was triaged and it was appropriate for Adam to get some legal advice. So we arranged a time to call Adam and his support worker when they were both together. We called and Adam agreed he was happy to speak with his support worker on the call. Adam explained his story to the lawyer and he was able to get legal advice. The support worker was there to assist with the call and to read out some paperwork to the lawyer as Adam had some difficulties in reading and writing. So that's just an example of how a call could take place with a support worker on the line to support the customer.
That's great. I think we're going to launch into our next poll, which is, I am a support worker. Can I call for legal help without my client with me? So audience, please, just like last time, do you think yes, you can call without your client present, or no, or you don't know? Oh, we haven't had any come through just yet. Just give it a few more seconds. Fantastic. So 94%, or sorry, 90% now have said yes. You can call without your client present. 4% said no, and 9% said I don't know. So I think yes, do you want to answer that question, Amanda?
Yep, so you can definitely give us a call here at Law Access without your client with you. It's just the way that we would assist is just a little bit different depending on the client's needs and what is most appropriate for the client. But yeah, you can certainly give us a call and reach out to us.
That's great. So what happens when the client calls?
Yeah, so
Or the
just
customer,
to
sorry.
summarize, all good. So just to summarize what happens when a customer calls us at Law Access, pretty much any person with a legal problem in New South Wales can call Law Access, and that's on our 1300 888 529 number for legal help. Calls are answered by one of our experienced information officers who will listen to a person's legal problem, just ask some questions to work out the best way to help the customer. So again, just reiterating some of the questions that we asked, and they're just mandatory questions that we start at the beginning of the call is, what's your suburb and postcode? Are you Aboriginal? Your year of birth, how you found our number, and whether you've had any legal advice about the matter you're calling us on. The next thing that we would just go through is we'll ask for a brief summary about the legal issue and any particular questions that a customer may have. And then during the call, the information officer just determines how to best offer support to the customer and then relay that onto them.
That's great. Now, what happens when a customer contacts Law Access via the web chat?
Yeah, so web chat's really exciting. With the launch of our web chat program, there's actually a chat button that will appear on the right-hand side of the screen above the Feedback Assist widget, and that's on the Law Access side. You can just click on that to initiate a chat. If you've been browsing on our website for about 90 seconds or more, there will be just a little pop-up invite to start a chat. There are also options to start a chat and that will appear, across all of the New South Wales Law Access website. And customers are also advised of the web chat option when they access the Contact Us page on the website, and the news carousel on the website also promotes the web chat option for customers. So maybe we'll go on to our next slide about what assistance is available.
Can I just ask a question of you, Amanda, that's just come through?
Of course.
During the pandemic, it was very difficult for clients to get through. Is this still the case? Have you put on more information officers, or how's that going? You've got the new web chat as well?
Yeah, so with the pandemic, it was very unprecedented, the amount of calls that were coming through. We do have quite a lot of staff and we've got pretty good coverage. It's just dependent on the day. We've got forecasting and all that in place to determine how much staff we should have on the lines. We do always have people on the web chat portal as well. And look, with team leaders, we will jump on if we need to, just to try and manage those queues. With web chat, we do actually we don't have much of a wait on web chat. So it's very quick. We do have increased capacity to take more than one chat at a time as well to better assist our customers and assist them a lot faster, because obviously we don't want them to wait. But yeah, look, right now we are traveling okay.
Excellent, thank you.
No worries. So yeah, I'll just go into a bit of a summary about, what kind of assistance is actually available via web chat. So with information officers on chat, it's very, very similar to the phone. So that's why if you can see that there's a little bit of a queue and you can't wait that long, you're more than welcome to actually reach out on web chat. And as I was saying, sometimes it can be a little bit faster. It just depends on the time of the day and everything like that. But with information officers on web chat, they can actually help customers find the information on the internet, direct them to digital options for assistance like guided pathways for low complexity matters. They can answer any questions directed to them, and they will source materials available online. They will still offer referrals, and they'll triage customers as normal for further assistance. And they can direct customers to services like Law Access New South Wales telephone service, for example, to speak to an Aboriginal information officer or to be logged to a lawyer. They could also be referred to legal aid advice clinics, community legal centres, private solicitors, other government agencies, and again, those non-legal referrals that we were talking about, for example, for financial counselling, Lifeline, etc. Just another thing to remember is that, again, legal advice is not available via web chat, and information officers aren't lawyers providing advice. They're providing information and referrals still.
So what kind of matters do you guys assist with? I know that we have some stats here. But what
Yep,
comes
so
up
here's a
first?
snapshot of the top matters. That's the top matters that customers were assisted by web chat from April and May this year. So we have debt matters. This could include where a customer owes someone else some money. They may have received a statement of claim, which means the other person has started a court case against them. There might be motor vehicle property damage, usually the result of an accident. The customer may be chased by another driver saying they're at fault, or the customer may have been hit by another driver and need some legal help in finding out their options. Fences, trees, and animals are typical neighbour disputes. They could include things like a dispute about where a new fence should be put, if a new fence is needed between two properties, tree disputes including overhanging branches into neighbouring yards, and complaints about noisy animals belonging to other neighbours. Apprehended violence orders for PINOP. So PINOP is the person in need of protection. They're the person that the AVO protects. Consumer matters will generally involve a dispute between customers and a business, parking offences and parking fines, including how to deal with your fine and other penalty notices and fines given by a court, and wages and entitlements, usually where an employee is not being paid the right wage or entitlements by their boss.
Great. So I think we have another example of how Law Access assists via web chat.
Yeah. So we've got Stacey this time, who's using a live web chat session, and she's initiated a session with an information officer. She's just clicked on the little widget on the Law Access site. So what the information officer will do is begin by introducing themselves, explaining their role as an information officer, not a lawyer, saying that they can provide information and referrals, and then they'll ask those general non-identifying questions that we would on the phone call. So suburb, postcode, are you Aboriginal, year of birth, how you got our number, and whether you've had advice. Then Stacey starts to explain that the purpose of this chat is because she's actually owed money from her employer and she's unsure of how to request that money be paid back to her. So what an information officer would do is send Stacey a link to approved resources that would outline how employees can ask for their wages or entitlements be paid to them. And information officers will just double check and see, they will correctly source the information first, and then once that's done, they'll double check and see if Stacey has any further questions prior to finalising the chat.
Great. And it sounds like Stacey has the capacity to self-help. Liz, can you tell us a bit more about that?
Sure. So if a customer is able to self-help, so that means they have the ability to take the next steps needed in their legal matter, we have lots of resources on our website, and I'm going to talk you through our website now, and I encourage you all to go and have a look. We've got lots of resources on there. So the first one I'm going to talk to you about is the picture on the left-hand of this slide. This is the tiles that will come up on the Representing Yourself section of our website. This has legal information on a variety of topics like debt, crime, fines, and it contains frequently asked questions, step-by-step guides, examples of various completed applications and letters that customers might need in their legal matter. The photo in the middle shows the homepage of the Law Access website, and it has links along the navigation panel. So the first circled in red tab is the My Legal Problem is About section. This is another tool on our website to help customers navigate to the different legal resources on our website. Next tab along is the Representing Yourself section of the website, which we just spoke about. And the third circle tab is About Law Access, which will take you to information about us. Just above the navigation panel in the top right-hand corner of the screen, you can see there's a search bar there. You can type into this to search for information on a particular topic on our website, and next to the search bar, you can use the drop-down menu to select the language that you want to search in. So you can find resources on our website in languages other than English. Just below that navigation panel, we have the Reader Speak function. It will look like the little listen icon, and clicking on this will read the information on the page aloud to the customer. Another feature of our website is the guided pathways. The link to this is circled in red at the bottom of that middle screenshot. And guided pathways are an interactive resource where customers can click through and answer a series of questions to get information tailored to their specific legal problem. Finally, we have a number of publications, general and targeted publications, available on our website as well.
Can I just ask a question that's come through of you, Amanda? When we were just talking about the web chat, can community workers use the web chat?
Definitely. You're more than welcome to reach out via web chat, and we would assist community workers pretty much the same way as we would over the phone. So if you have a specific question and we've got the information to answer it, the information will be provided. We would ask, is your client able to contact us directly? And if so, we'll encourage them to either contact us whichever way they're comfortable, whether it be web chat or phones. It's up to them. Honestly, we don't mind. If they're not able to self-help, but you're telling us, look, they have this matter and we think that they need some advice, and we're looking through the options and it's something that may be appropriate for us, we will still forward on, and we've got these responses developed. It will include the email address for us, so much like the phones that we would provide, and we'll get you to send through an email as to a time when you and your client would be together, and we'll try and assist that way too. So yeah, definitely more than happy for you to reach out via web chat. And as I said earlier, it could be a little bit quicker if you've got like a short break and you just want to find something out. Please feel free to reach out.
And I might also just quickly jump in. Sorry, this is not planned, but just around the guided pathways, to let people know that we have quite a few recorded webinars and podcast episodes talking about the different guided pathways. So if people are interested in learning a bit more about those and how they work, you can jump on the Legal Aid New South Wales YouTube channel to watch those recorded webinars or listen to one of our podcast episodes. Sorry about that. Okay, Maureen.
No, thanks, Kerry. So we'll just go through the referrals from Law Access. Amanda, can you speak to this, please?
Yeah, of course. So this is a very simplified version of a very comprehensive triage model that is used to guide information officers on how to determine how to best assist customers. So with this is the stage we're at when an information officer has spoken to a client, they've gotten all their details as necessary, and essentially the information is at the point where information alone is not going to cut it. They determine that the customer actually needs further help. So what they will do next is then look at, okay, what type of help does this person actually need? Do they need non-legal assistance or legal assistance? So if they need non-legal assistance, such as financial counselling or speaking to a GP, talking to a health service, etc., they will be referred to the appropriate service. If they require legal services or legal advice, for example, we look at, okay, what type of legal matter does the customer actually have? Are they particularly vulnerable? and, are they actually able to self-help? So this will help us, decide, does this person actually need to see someone face to face? Will over the phone help be like suitable for them? Do they need help with a form? Do they need someone to appear at court? That type of stuff. So because we've got so many different options on the CRM or customer relationship management system, we literally use a very comprehensive triage model to decide what is most appropriate and which service would be best to help them, and then they get forwarded on to them.
Thanks for that. Where do you refer your customers to?
Sure. So where do we refer our customers to? As Amanda said, we follow the triage model to make sure the customer gets the help they need, and customers can be referred to a very long list of places to get further help, including a different legal aid team for legal advice, a community legal centre where appropriate, or the Law Society for a referral to a private lawyer. Customers may also be referred to a number of other places, including courts, tribunals, Service New South Wales, Beyond Blue, the National Debt Helpline, just to name a few. All services are, all referrals are made through our approved database of referrals. And I'll talk now about referrals made to legal aid and community legal centres. So in the year 2020 to 2021, 13.66% of our customers were referred to legal aid and 27.72% were referred to community legal centres. And we'll just go to the next slide about the difference between information and advice. So legal information officers can provide legal information. They're not lawyers. They can provide general information about the law that can be read from approved resources. And legal officers such as myself are lawyers, and we can provide legal advice. This could include suggesting a solution to a customer's inquiry or problem, or helping a customer decide between different legal options. It could involve advising customers on the prospect of success or likely outcomes in court. For example, if a customer asks, should I take my fine to court? We would look at what are the potential outcomes of going to court, what are the risks, is it a good idea for the customer to go to court or not? And that is all considered legal advice.
So I think we might jump into our next poll, which is, can a legal officer provide advice? We're just waiting on the responses there. Just give it a few more seconds. Great, so I might just share these results. So 23% said yes and 77% said no. Liz, can you please answer this question?
Yeah, sure. So a legal information officer is not a lawyer, so they can't provide legal advice. A legal officer, which is a lawyer, can provide the advice. So the answer to this would be no, the information officer can't, but a legal officer or a lawyer can provide the advice. And we've just got an example now, Sam, of what might be included in an advice call. So Sam here has called Law Access New South Wales. He's in court today. He's got a matter in court and he's at the courthouse and he needs some urgent legal help. He's called us and an information officer decides it's appropriate for Sam to speak to one of the Law Access lawyers, and he's put through. He's been charged with common assault against his partner, and police have also applied for an AVO. One of the conditions of his AVO would stop Sam from going home, and he needs some advice about going home to collect his belongings. In this case, the lawyer can advise advise Sam what his options are for changing the AVO and how to get an order from the court that could allow him to go home to get his belongings back. We've advised Sam in relation to his options for entering a plea or asking for an adjournment to get some more legal advice before he enters pleas to the charges. If appropriate and Sam needed some further legal advice about a family law issue, he could be relogged to a different lawyer to get some family law advice as well.
Liz, I've just noticed someone's typed into the question box that videos are helpful for low vision clients. You have quite a few videos on the Law Access New South Wales website, don't you? It just made me think of it because there's a series about going to court, isn't there?
That's right, that's right. We've got some videos about going to court, so what to say on the first court date, how to prepare for a hearing, what to say at a hearing, some videos about AVOs as well. So we definitely have some videos on our website as well.
Thanks.
So Amanda, we have some stats here about Law Access. Can you speak to them, please?
Yeah, of course. So look, information officers actually aim to accept calls within 2 to 3 minutes where possible. As we can all appreciate, this is an overall goal. However, depending on the queue and other things, this may not always be the case. There could be a little bit longer of a wait, but look, we do have a dedicated floor manager, so someone who is actually keeping an eye on the queue, our coverage, etc., who tries to manage this as best as possible. But look, the reality is we can't always anticipate how many calls are going to come through on a day, but we do try and accept those calls as quickly as we can. All right, and the next slide. So this one's about how long we take on average with each phone call. So look, we aim to assist customers within 10 minutes and 30 seconds. But again, please bear in mind, this can really vary between the nature of the legal matter and the individual needs of the customer at the other end of the line. So if we need to take longer with that person, we will take longer with that person. But it just depends on who's on the line, what the nature of their legal issue is, and how much help they require.
So this is a snapshot of the customers helped by Law Access in the last 5 years. So 799,669 customers have been helped by Law Access in the last 5 years. And in this year, or in the last year, 2020 and 2021, 149,782 customers were assisted by Law Access, and almost 14,000, so 13,998 people received legal advice from one of our lawyers.
Great. So a lot
and
of
it's coming up to the end of the year.
Sorry, go ahead, Liz.
Sorry, Verena. It's coming up to the end of the year now, and I'll just mention the Christmas closures. I can't believe it's the 1st of December today. So Law Access, we will be open from 9 to 5, Monday to Friday throughout the Christmas period. We'll just be closed on the following public holidays. So Christmas and Boxing Day this year, they both fall on a Saturday and a Sunday. Will be closed on the 27th of December, which is a Monday, the day in lieu of Christmas, and the 28th of December, the Tuesday, again in lieu of the Boxing Day public holiday. New Year's is also a Saturday next year, so we'll be shut as well on the Monday, the 3rd of January. That's the day in lieu of the New Year's Day. And importantly, all other legal aid officers, there's going to be a shutdown from the 27th of December to the 7th of January. So our big message today is if you need legal help, please contact us. Don't just ignore a legal problem. You can contact us on the 1300 number there on the screen or reach out to us on web chat. But thank you very much for joining us.
No, thank you, Amanda and Liz. Really appreciate it. I think now we're going to have some time for questions. Kerry, do we have any?
Well, the one, yes, people start typing now, but there's one here that you can answer. Someone's asked if there's printed materials in really simple English for clients with special needs. Do you want to answer that, Amanda, about the printed materials available?
Yes, sure. So we do have quite a few publications. We can get those mailed out if that's required. If it's something directly from our website, because all of our resources are actually in plain language, so they're not too convoluted or complex. But yes, we can actually organize for printed materials to be sent out. It's just because of COVID and the pandemic, our capacity to send out mail was just a little bit more limited. So it just took a little bit longer to get the post out. That's all.
And I think you access the Legal Aid New South Wales publications as well,
We sure do.
Amanda.
Yes,
and
we sure
some
do.
of those, some of those are in what we call easy English. So there are a few of the Legal Aid New South Wales publications that are in easy English, which you can look at on the Legal Aid New South Wales website under the publications tab. So I've got here, what's the next question? In the case of Sam, if his partner called Law Access, would they be able to get advice too? So was Sam the one with the family law issue, Liz?
Yes. Yes, that's right. So if Sam got legal advice from a lawyer at Law Access, his partner could still call and get legal advice, but not from the same lawyer. So a different lawyer would give that advice to Sam's partner, but we still can help two people in the same matter.
Okay, thank you. And do you give support or to people on temporary or student visas?
They can definitely call through. I can answer that one if you like.
Oh, yeah, Liz. Yeah, sorry.
Of course. Go for it.
Sorry, I think there might be a little bit of a lag. Yes, anyone is welcome to help. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be a citizen or anything like that. Although we can't give migration advice. So that would be something that you could call if you had a legal problem. If we couldn't help you with that particular problem because, for example, it was a migration issue, then we could refer you on to a service that could help you with that issue.
That's right, and we have some specialist teams at Legal Aid, as well as our community legal centres, like Redfern Legal Centre does run a service for international students. So I'm sure you make those referrals. This question, if you're referring to a legal aid office, do you need to tell the client which office will be contacting them?
So we try to we definitely aim to give as much information as we can. We've actually got this new process just to try and streamline the process of getting them through to legal aid a lot sooner. So we use an electronic referral form as much as we can. So where a customer is being referred to a legal aid office, we would actually try and get their details down, get that sent off through to a legal aid office, and we would provide the name of the office normally, yes.
And there's another question here. If a legal aid office receives a referral from Law Access that's not appropriate, how do they let you know? So do you have a regular update of your databases about referrals?
Definitely do. So when a customer has been referred incorrectly or it's not appropriate necessarily for legal aid, that actual it normally is via electronic referral, but the person who receives the referral will forward it on to our service development group manager, who forwards it on to our contact center manager, and then we'll reach out to the individual team leader. So whoever that information officer's team leader is, they will get notification of that, and we will provide further training and advice to the information officer on how they can improve their referrals.
Great. And how do you keep your database up to date, Amanda? It must be massive.
Oh, it's very, very big. So as I was saying, we've got the service development group, which they're amazing. They're superstars. They stay on top of this. They have comms going in and out frequently, so they update us regularly. If it's something that is quite urgent, we will send out communications to the whole floor, usually via email. We've even got a big Teams group where we can communicate that and mark it as urgent and important. So we'll notify everyone of all the changes, like, for example, the COVID-19 updates of different services and how they were operating. We really have to stay on top of that. So we do get comms quite frequently. And then our service development group team will actually update our whole database accordingly. So yeah, it's a big job, but yeah, we're very lucky to have them.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, that's all the questions I have had so far. Was there anything you wanted to say, Marina, while I'm waiting to see if any more come in?
No, just that, if you are watching this webinar, it is being recorded. And if we don't have, if you think of a question later on, or if you have any comments or suggestions, you can email them to cle@legalaid.nsw.gov.au, and we will endeavour to answer them as soon as possible. And of course, Law Access, please give them a call, even if you're not sure. Doesn't hurt to pick up the phone or go onto the web chat and ask that quick question.
Definitely. One last question's come through is when and where is this recording going to be uploaded? So that it will be probably by the end of the week. Usually takes a couple of days. It'll be loaded up on the Legal Aid New South Wales YouTube channel, which you can find on the homepage at Legal Aid New South Wales. Go to our website and there's a little icon for YouTube. Click on that and that takes you to our YouTube channel, and you look under Community Legal Education Webinars. So should be by the end of the week. We're not getting any questions on Facebook. Okay, just thank yous, I think.
Yeah,
yes.
Thank you so much, Amanda and Liz. We really appreciate you coming here and speaking to our community workers about Law Access.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure.
All right.
Yes,
so
thanks for listening.
Our Facebook coordinator is also reminding us that the recording will also be on the Legal Aid New South Wales Facebook page after the webinar. So there's two options. It's a new thing for me to remember that it will also be on Facebook as well as our YouTube channel. So great webinar. Not a question, but a big thank you. Thanks for an informative session. Thank you, very informative. So we really do appreciate our Law Access New South Wales colleagues, and yeah, that's great. Doesn't look like there's any more questions, Marina.
Fantastic. All right, so we hope to see you next time on our Lawful Community Workers webinars. Thank you so much. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.